Hello and welcome everyone to this budget discussion 2024. We have with us a very well qualified, very well experienced speaker with us. He's going to give us a lot of insight. How was the budget? Where the government should focus more on. So we are going to talk about everything in detail. But before that, let me talk about this term. Budget is not in constitution. It is called annual financial statement. So we are going to talk about annual financial statement of India 2024. How big is our budget? Is it very large or small? So this budget, if you see, the size was 47.6 lakh crore. If you compare this in just in $1 billion, if you convert it, it will be somewhere around $600 billion. The China's budget size is $4 trillion and US's budget size is $6.9 trillion. They're in trillions, we're still in billions, but not to mind much because we are the fastest growing economy in the world with more than 7% with GDP growth. In last 2 years, one term also you will be listening and hearing everywhere. So that is the capex infrastructure. Government is focusing on infrastructure. So are we focusing a lot? So this time the infrastructure investment government has declared it is going to be 11.1 lakh crore, and this is a 11% increase from the previous year. But before that, our infrastructure budget, which was 10 lakh crore, it was an increase of 33% in the last year. This year, they have increased only 11%. So this 11.1 lakh crore, this infrastructure amount, capital outlay, so is this very high? Because when China was in our situation, they were investing almost like 4 to 5% of their GDP into the infrastructure. But in India, if you see, we are still spending somewhere around 3.3 to 3.4% of our GDP into the infrastructure. Definitely, it is not very much. We do need to invest more and more into the infrastructure. Also, we are going to talk about that in detail. Does India need more infrastructure? Does it need more subsidy? Is a subsidized economy is good? So yeah, definitely we're going to talk about these topics in detail. And if you compare this ministry allocation in the budget with the previous year, all the ministries they have received a increased budget. So all the ministries they have received, like the budget amount allocation is little bit increased from the previous year, except one ministry, that is chemicals and fertilizer ministry. They have received a reduced budget. This is a little bit, you can say, maybe unfair to this ministry because farmers depend on the fertilizer companies, and these fertilizer companies they are struggling with their margins because of the bad monsoon. So a little bit of subsidy would have helped them to survive better, and maybe it would have been better for these companies. But somehow, yeah, this is not a full budget. Again, this is interim budget. Maybe in the next budget, government may come up with some extra for the fertilizer sectors. Also, if you talk about what is in trend from this budget 2024, government is focusing on the clean energy more and more. They have planned a viability gap funding for the wind energy companies, because the wind energy companies are struggling in their profits, and they have a debt burden, and this viability gap funding will definitely make them stable and will definitely help them expand more and produce more cleaner energy. Also, government is focusing on the rooftop solarization schemes, and in this scheme they are going to enable 1 crore households achieving 300 units free electricity per month. Yeah, so government is focusing a lot on the clean energy, and also they have declared to set up 3 railway corridors, namely in one in the energy, mineral, and cement corridor, Second is the port connectivity corridors, and third is the high traffic density corridor. So these three corridors government is focusing to build in the next 1 2 3 years, whatever time it will take. It will definitely take a longer time because the railway infrastructure, it takes time, and this is one of the government focus to improve the logistic sector. Kind of like the logistic cost, if you see in the developed economies, this is very lesser and compared to India. So India's logistic cost is very high, and this type of steps will definitely attract the foreign investors, the foreign direct investment. It will attract more FDIs, because infrastructure is everything. Without that, any outside money will not flow to the Indian economy. And also government has focused on the housing sector. In Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, last time, in COVID, after COVID, government declared above like 3 crore houses were going to receive the free houses. But again they have improved it to increased it to 5 crore. So now more 2 crore houses will be built in this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. As well as government has also promised to come up with a scheme for the middle class people, so that they can build a house, they can buy a house. So there is going to be a scheme for the middle class people. Government has promised that. So because of this, you can see there is a lot of demand in the housing finance companies in the stock market. Uh, and last thing to talk is the GST collection. GST collection in 2018, this was around like 0.9 lakh crore per month. On an average, it was the collection in 2018. Now, on an average, every month, the government collects around 1.7 lakh crore per month in the GST. So this is doubled. In 2018, what was the situation, and now if you compare, this is doubled. Yeah, so definitely government's earning is also increasing, but government is also focusing on reducing the fiscal deficit, that the difference between what we are spending and what we are earning. Yeah, this was the brief about the budget 2024. Now let's discuss with a panel we have ready about what was the major focus in the budget and what should have been better in the budget. So let's talk about it. We have with us Professor Amulya Dhan Raut. He has numerous experience in the field of corporate banking, investment banking. He has worked in as a vice president in SBI Capital Market for a very long time, and also he was head of corporate advisory in CRISIL. So today we are going to learn a lot of things from him about how was the budget, and where the government has focused more on infrastructure or subsidy. On these topics we are going to discuss, and in panel we have with us Sritam, Prusti, and Sribas. At the end of the discussion we are going to ask few questions to sir if anyone has any doubt regarding the budget. So without any delay, so we'll start the discussion. Sir, so we would like to ask how was the budget 2024, and uh, what is your view on this budget? How was the overall budget this time?
Good morning. Thank you for arranging this kind of meeting for the budget 22, 24, 25. In fact,
Thank you, sir.
this year budget is not a full-fledged budget. This is a small one, and there is no economic survey for this, because I was searching for economic survey, because this is not a full-fledged budget. The economic survey has not been published. So typically in economic survey, they indicate various aspects of what the finance bill will be for the forthcoming year. So this year they have a budget for a shorter period. They are focusing for something, and it is not prudent to tell against or for things. Let me tell you, there are so many areas they have targeted. One is the subsidy, subsidy in two things. One is a food and fuel subsidy. Second is the PM Kisan, then the production linked incentive, then the Ayushman Bharat. The three things actually Honorable Finance Minister was focusing. Let me tell you the total the tax collection, out of which I can tell you that as per my analysis and my study from the various sources, in India, 3% people pay for the 50% of the total direct tax we are collecting.
Yes, sir.
So we can spend more when we are earning more. That is the basic financial principle.
Yes, sir.
Unless otherwise we earn more, we cannot spend more. Government also typically they should think of earning more. So nation building is the job of everybody, not only the few people, that is 3% people or 4% or 5% people. Everybody is using the capital good. That is, we are paying tax for using the social infrastructure or the capital goods. Since we have less money, we are unable to create the capital goods. If you see the tax collection of various countries, there are, I can tell you, France, they collect 78.3% people they pay tax. Germany,
Yes.
61.30% people pay tax. UK, 59.7% people pay tax. USA, only 50.1% people pay tax. India, only 2.2% people. That is not exactly 3%, it is 2.2% people. So when everybody 130, 140 crores people will be using the infrastructure, you cannot make the infrastructure sustainable with only 2.2% people's contribution. So therefore, we have to think of how we can rope in many people for the nation building.
So do you think
So,
we are progressing in that way, in that direction? Because this time the income tax from the normal people, it has crossed on the corporate tax, because the corporate tax used to be the highest income in the taxation
so
section.
I can
Hmm.
tell you the tax collection, direct tax is 11 lakh 56,000 crores. Corporate tax collection is 10 lakh 42,830 crores. GST is 10 lakh 67,650 crores. Excise is 3 lakh 18,780 crores. Just see one. This is here. I don't want to go beyond. There are customs taxes. There are also others. What is the excise duty? Excise duty is mostly from production. That means our production is so low that we are contributing only 3.18 lakhs crores. That is the catch.
Yes, sir.
So once the
Yeah.
production will go up, our excise collection will drastically go up. And direct tax, only 2.25% people are paying the tax. So therefore, if you are thinking of building infrastructure, whether it is social infrastructure or any kind of infrastructure, and people in India, they believe that infrastructure should be the contribution of the government. So slowly across the world, when we are competing with the countries like France, Germany, UK, USA, Canada, all these countries we are thinking of, we will be within three top three countries of the world. We have to think accordingly. Whether it is earning
Hmm.
1 lakh or 20 lakhs or 2 crores or 500 crores, I believe that everybody should have contribution to for the national building.
And that will also reduce our physical deficit that the government is trying to
Yes,
reduce.
just see, we have learned it from our Ramayana and Mahabharata. Just see, when
Hmm.
Rama was building the Setubandha, also a small squirrel also contributing. So contribution
Hmm.
should come from all people, not from the top-notch people of the country. So therefore, that is one thing that our tax collection is very, very lax.
Yes, sir.
Budget
That is a
is
very good
prepared
point
to
you
make
added.
budget is prepared to make the deficit, because generally no country, even the developed country and a super rich country, they don't prepare a budget with a positive budget, because a positive budget is a docile budget, so it will not help
Hmm.
in growing. Negative, always budget is prepared negative, so that economy will grow. That is the standard practice across the world. So considering all these
Hmm.
things, now first thing I will touch upon the PM Kisan Singh, which is PM Kisan scheme, which people are talking and government is talking, many people are taking. What is the incentive PM Kisan scheme the farmers are getting? It is only 6,000 rupees per year.
Hmm.
That means 500 rupees per month, which is less than 1 day labor. Why we
Right.
are shouting on this? If somebody will
Hmm.
work in the railway station for even 2 hours, he can earn 1,000 rupees. If
Yeah.
somebody work as a laborer in the bridge or port or ship or even the construction site, he can get 500, 600 rupees per day, or forget about the month. And a skilled laborer who are doing the brick and mortar work, putting up
Hmm.
the tiles, whether it is ceramic tiles or marble tiles or mosaic tiles, he can earn at least 1,500 rupees per day. Whatever we are giving only 500 rupees per month for Kisan. And we are
Okay.
telling big, big things. So that is the one catch, because I was thinking that how much we
Uh,
are paying for this scheme was launched in 2019, and the payment is only 500 rupees. And the if you see, if you are paying 500 rupees per month, 6,000 rupees per year, just the
hmm.
transaction cost is very, very high. That means
Yes.
you collect the money, you pay to the
Hmm.
bank, farmer will come to the bank, take the money. If you see the transaction cost and the subsidy is nothing.
So
Contrast to
what?
that,
Hmm. Yes.
contrast
Yes,
to
sir.
that, what I suggest, why not we create infrastructure for farmers? What is the infrastructure? One is
Hmm.
a scheme government has launched called PM Kusum Yojana for solar water pump financing to the farmers. If you
Right, sir.
see, government or the sites are advertising subsidy is 90%. So the people in the farmers in the villages, when I talk to my villagers, because I have also contributed one solar water pump to my brother who is doing farming. So subsidy,
Sure.
one place it is mentioned 90%. The farmer has to contribute only 10%. It is not. 30%
Hmm.
subsidy is given by MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. 30%
Hmm.
subsidy should be given by the state government. 30% will be loan, and 10% is the farmer's contribution. If you see the solar water pump, which is a costly affair
Hmm.
in comparison to diesel, kerosene, and other water pump, the capital cost is very high. So unless otherwise it is subsidized, the farmers will not take. I talked to the branch AGM, DGM of SBI only 4 days before. They were telling nobody is a taker because
Hmm.
the subsidy is not available. If subsidy is not
Okay.
available, hardly they finance maybe some few hundreds, not thousands, in the entire state of Orissa.
So you are
So
saying, sir,
if
infrastructure is more important than giving subsidy
yes,
to the
because
farm?
you see, when somebody
Hmm.
can earn money from his own labor, why you give
Hmm.
subsidy? So you create employment for him. That is, you have to give water, you have to
Hmm.
create training for the farmers, what kind of farming he can do, because 60 to 70% people of the country are staying in the rural place, and they are dependent upon the farming. If you see, another critical things in India, actually, if you see our land to people ratio, which is one of the highest amongst all these countries, the
Hmm.
per square kilometer population of India is almost touching 500, which is less than 30 in USA, which is less than 10 in Canada. So if our land mass is not growing, but our
Hmm.
population is growing, that means we have to be very, very efficient. Whatever rain we are getting from the God, we have to retain it,
Hmm.
and we have to make the maximum use of this. How we can use? We have to create infrastructure. What is the
So do
infrastructure?
you think
We have,
in this budget? Huh. Yeah. Yeah, sir.
yeah, you ask, tell me.
Yes, sir. So I was saying, do you think in this budget there is enough focus on the farmers? Because like the Sitaraman started when Madam Sitaraman started the speech, she was talking about the farmers and all. But after end of the speech, like we got to know the Ministry of Fertilizers, it got a allocation that is lower, like around like 13% than the previous year allocation, the fertilizers. Uh, hmm,
I'll tell you, total subsidy in 2023 was 5
hmm,
lakh 78,000 crores.
hmm.
Then 2024 it was 4 lakh 41,000 crores.
It has reduced.
reduced. 2023 it was
Hmm.
19% of the capital outlay, budgetary outlay.
Hmm.
2024 it was 12.83%. 2025 it is 4 lakh 10,000 crores, which is 10.7470%. It is decreasing. It is a good sign,
Okay.
because
How is it a
we
good
in
sense?
economics were because
Hmm.
we in economic studies, subsidized economy is a bad economy.
Okay.
Give employment, not subsidy. That is the best economist of the world, they said. Dig the hole and fill it up. Don't give free money. Free money is not a
Hmm.
good sign of the developing economy or developed economy. So free money is not a solution. So reducing of subsidy is very good. And if you see the
Hmm.
subsidy, food subsidy in 2023 out of 5,78,000 crores was only 2,72,802 crores. That means almost 50% of the subsidy goes for food. Why we give free food? Are we
Hmm.
giving free food to the birds? Are we giving free food to the tigers? Are we giving free food to the jackals? Are we giving free
No.
food to the fish? How they are surviving? They are
Hmm.
our food, but we are not giving free food to them. That is God is giving. We have also, we have our mouth, we have our hand, we have our leg, we have our brain, and God, the human beings are the best creation of the God. So better not to give free. Rather, you give them the scope to earn money and to get food. So
It's a good
food
sign then,
subsidy,
reducing subsidy. Yeah.
because food subsidy is 47.2% in 2020.
Hmm.
2024 food subsidy is 48.15% of the total subsidy, and
Hmm.
2025 projected food subsidy goes up by 50%. That means to 47%, 48%, then to 50%. That is the subsidy. Another subsidy which is killing us is the fuel subsidy, which is almost
Hmm.
like 3%. Why we give fuel subsidy? To whom we are giving fuel subsidy? We should create
Yeah.
the transport infrastructure so efficiently so that
Hmm.
subsidy may not be required, because India is a net importer of oil. When the
Yes.
country is a net importer of oil, there is no question of giving subsidy on the fuel. Let it become the efficient. One is
Almost 80% of
therefore,
the oil are imported in India.
yes. So
Yeah.
what I am trying to say here is
Hmm.
that we have to make efficient our system. That is why how we can make it efficient. It is one that is called G governance. Once we have the
Hmm.
good governance, only that all these things may go up. So that is more about the PM Kisan subsidy and other thing. There are two things Madam
Hmm.
Sitaraman has focused. One is PLI scheme for MSME sector, which India should bank upon. The
Hmm.
production linked insurance is very, very important, but the government is not clear, not telling properly to the youngster or the startup people are doing how much subsidy
Hmm.
he will get if he is doing some kind of production, whether in the food, manufacturing, IT, ITS, finance, or any kind of startup. How much is the
Hmm.
production linked incentive? It is only
Hmm.
one thing mentioned. 4 to 6% is the production linked insurance incentive to the
Incentives.
IT sector. Only to the IT sector. Other sectors, the site and the government is not clear. If you go to the government office, and
Hmm.
you will face a lot of problem getting all these kind of subsidy. Just like the
That's right.
PM Kisan
Hmm.
subsidy and the PM Kusum subsidy, getting
Hmm.
subsidy is not an easy task. People who have got
So
the
people should
subsidy,
be informed well about
not
this.
people should
Yeah.
be informed. Well,
Hmm.
government should clear come out with clear policy, and the governance
Hmm.
should be very good, and it should be in a very proper systematic way. Otherwise, the
Hmm.
thing will not come up. Then the third thing I will tell you about the
Hmm.
Aishman Bharat, which is
Let's say.
required because this is the public health insurance benefit to the people who are staying in the villages. Good. We have hospitals in almost all block headquarters in the panchayat headquarters,
Hmm.
but the hospitals are without doctors and without facility. Why people go to the private hospital? Why the students are going to the private school? 30, 40 years before, how many private schools were there? How many private hospitals were there? People are surviving because those days, those hospitals and those schools were efficient. But
Yes.
nowadays, slowly, if you go to the government hospitals, they have good infrastructure, but the service, the quality of service, the quality of doctor, either nurses are not there, doctors are not there, pharmacist is not there, and there are a lot of middlemen taking you. The poor patients, he will be treated or he will be in the on the mercy of the brokers. So these three things, one is PM Kisan production link incentive and Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman Bharat, one thing I can tell you, government should make the government hospitals efficient, or they should convert this hospital to PPP mode, private public partnership mode, with the
Hmm.
management controlled by the professionals, not by the government officials. So
Okay.
if
That's a
this
nice
is
session.
meant
Hmm.
that, because one thing, just like our PSU, just see many PSU, they are doing fabulously well. NTPC, NALCO, NSPC, they are Navaratnam PSU, in spite of
Hmm.
they are not government department, they are public sector undertaking. If you see the PSU banks, they are doing very well. State Bank of India, Bank of India, Bank of Baroda. In spite of there is huge competition from the private sector banks, they are surviving because of the professional management. So the hospitals, I can tell you, the hospitals should have with professional management, not under the mercy of some politicians or some bureaucrats. So these three things
Government
you
should
will
not
get.
be only the only controller.
Government should not. There should be
Hmm.
a kind of PPP mode, or if
Hmm.
the new hospitals government is creating, that can be an SPV, special purpose vehicle, for special kind of diseases, for cancer, for heart, for orthopedic, for gynec, for child. There should be special purpose vehicle. So government is
Hmm.
planning many things, but one catch is we have to increase the tax collections. We have to increase the contributor of the tax. That
Yes,
means
sir. So we'll come
the
to our
tax
next
collection.
question. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Sir,
we have to
huh.
increase the bracket of the tax collection. Everybody should contribute for the nation building. That is the one agenda I can tell you. Everybody, even the poor farmers, should be contributing, because you see, if you see the
Hmm.
average land holding in India, there are more of small and marginal farmers rather than the large farmers. Therefore, we are unable to make the
Hmm.
agriculture mechanized, because the land consolidation, except in Punjab, Haryana, no state
Sir.
has developed the land holdings. So
Yes, sir.
therefore,
You
mechanization of
stated that
agriculture.
squirrel type,
Hmm.
as a squirrel, we have to contribute something to the economy,
Everybody,
something to the
everybody
taxation.
should
Yes,
contribute.
it's our responsibility also. Sir, what about your take on the clean energy? The government has stated about the net zero by 2047. They have started giving the viability cap funding for the wind energy, solar rooftop solarization schemes they are bringing. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah.
Uh,
Here I can tell you,
hmm.
since I'm an advisor to a green energy company, I will tell
Yes,
you
that I know.
the non-conventional energy, there is solar and wind and also
Hmm.
tidal energy. Because tidal energy, our research and development is very poor, and we have a huge scope in the solar energy. Wind energy, we cannot do much, because the
Hmm.
eastern coast is always susceptible to various cyclones and other kind of things. Since we have a
Okay.
long coastline of around 2,000 kilometers from Bengal to Tamil Nadu, we are unable to set up the wind power plant in the coast, because generally we get more wind near the coast. Because of the cyclone, the wind energy plants are not viable. Only in the western coast
Hmm.
and the desert area of Rajasthan and some area of Maharashtra, we are going for wind energy. Wind energy
Hmm.
subsidy, I don't know whether subsidy is available or not, but solar
Hmm.
energy, I can tell you, there is no subsidy available. For commercial
Hmm.
solar power plant, there is no
Hmm.
subsidy available. Earlier, I'm telling you, 2004-5, 1 megawatt of solar energy power plant was costing
Hmm.
almost like 40 crores for 1 megawatt. And we are
Okay.
importing the solar panels from the France, China, and other places. Fortunately, now this cost has been reduced to 4 crores from 14 crores straightway. Now in 2024, the per megawatt solar
Hmm.
power production is 4 crores. But the catch is, solar, the power cost, the people who are manufacturing solar power, they are selling
Hmm.
at 16 rupees in 2003 and 4. out of which government was giving subsidy of around 12 to 13 rupees and
Hmm.
consumer was paying only 3 to 4 rupees. Now, the same solar, the power cost has been reduced to less than 3 rupees. With 3 rupees and 4
Hmm.
crores per megawatt production, solar power plant is not economically feasible. Unless otherwise, there is subsidy, huge amount of capital investment subsidy available from government. Because there is a two-way approach in subsidy. One is if
Hmm.
they give subsidy, more number of solar power plant will come, more people will be employed. Number
Hmm.
two, and more solar panels will be manufactured in India. From the net importer of solar power plants, we can become a more exporter of solar power plant. So that is the
Okay,
take
so we
on the
should
solar
also
energy.
manufacture these panels more and more.
And we should give
Hmm.
incentive to the people. We should give
To the
incentive to the
manufacturers.
solar
Hmm.
panel manufacturer and solar power manufacturer. Wind
Plants also.
energy
Okay.
is not very much in this country, and India
Hmm.
is fortunate to have good solar energy production facilities, and we have deserts in Rajasthan, we have deserts in Gujarat, we have plains in MP, Chhattisgarh, and also in South India where solar power plant will be very much feasible. And we have to be
Hmm.
doing more of research for the manufacturing, how we can manufacture solar power at much easier way. That is
Right,
my
sir.
take on, and the government should give incentive.
Hmm.
Maybe
Hmm. Hmm.
production link incentive, only production link incentive is mostly available for MSME. They should give
Hmm.
to the wind energy people.
Okay, sir. Sir, our last question, then we'll take the question from Sitaman Srivas if they have any confusions. Sir, which sector do you think will be an opportunity for the investors? Do you think any sector is there in this budget uh, where the government has focused more and there is opportunity for the investors? Any
One
sectors?
sector I can tell you, in the
Hmm.
finance sector, we are way behind in other countries. We are
Right.
unable to tap the resources of the rural people,
Hmm.
and the rural people, they don't know how where to invest. Because they don't know where to invest, they are rural people, their investment, one is bank, another is agriculture. Unless
Hmm.
otherwise they are properly guided, their money is siphoned off to various kind of chit funds. They are crying, and their money is blocked. They are ultimately, they are going to the money lenders where the cost of fund is more than 30% per annum. So therefore, the wealth management of the rural people is very, very critical. They should gain faith on the
Hmm.
people. The banks who are operating in the rural areas, they should come out of their table. They should go to the farmers. They should go to the villagers. They should tell them,
Hmm.
even if you cannot save 1,000 rupees in a month, why can't you spend 200 rupees in a month? There are
Hmm.
various schemes.
More and more
The
inclusion.
bank, there are various
Hmm.
schemes for deposit mobilization, recurring deposit. Even if somebody is illiterate, he can invest in SIP. So
Hmm.
one sector, actually, the finance is not properly monitored and controlled by the government. Government has scheme, but the
Hmm.
money, the people have money, they are unable to. And we are thinking of PM Abbas Yojana. Just see, the in the rural areas, there, because finance, because this scheme I am telling you, we are
Hmm.
telling PM Abbas Yojana, the villagers, they want money. They
Hmm.
want money
2
for
crore
their,
more people will be getting the houses. Government has
yeah,
declared in PM
because
Awas Yojana this
because
time. Hmm.
houses, why you want to give money to the people? They can have their
Hmm.
own money. Unless otherwise you give them the facility. Why we are
Hmm.
not financing to rural house? I will tell you, Mahindra Rural Housing Finance, we have prepared
Hmm.
the roadmap how they can set up a rural housing company where they can finance to the rural people. Because the problem in the rural people, the land is not properly registered in their name. They are from the their forefathers. Their land
Hmm.
records are not in their name. When we are doing e-governance for the government of Odisha, government of various states, the government should give the proper quota of the landowners to the offsprings of the people. Because my grandfather has the land, my father has inherited, I have inherited, from my children will be inheriting. But ultimately, the land should be slowly converted to the people who are using now, not in the
Hmm.
people who are using 200 years before. So therefore, they are unable to get housing loan from the banks or the housing finance companies. So if they get loan,
Hmm.
there will be pressure on them to pay the loan. If they get money
Hmm.
from the government, that is taxpayers' money, they will not pay because that is not to be paid. So why you give
Hmm.
subsidy for this? Better to give them scope to get loan from the banks and the housing company. That is
Yes.
the third thing. That is one area. And the
Hmm.
another area actually we have to create many irrigation projects because
Hmm.
many years last multi-purpose revolving project was created in Andhra Pradesh, Srisailam.
Right, sir.
Thereafter,
Hmm.
we didn't have any kind of multi-purpose river valley project because multi-purpose river valley project will give water, will give electricity, and it is for recreation also. So we have to think
Yes, sir.
of this kind of project.
So we'll take a question from Sritam. Can you, ask your question? What you have?
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
so my question is, in this interim budget, our honorable finance minister has proposed a corpus of 1 lakh crore to boost private investment in deep tech startups. So, it
Hmm.
is aiming to achieve Vikasit Bharat by 2047. How do you foresee this initiative impacting startup community?
The startup is not a new one. Startup
Hmm.
was there. Startup has been there. Startup is not a new thing. Startup was there lot before startup was there. So we have given a new name to them. But why you
Hmm.
are waiting for 2047? Just see if I say
Hmm.
tell you what was Malaysia 30 years before. They were a poor country.
Hmm.
Right.
And if you ask this to our people, they say that we have more population. But I can tell you, Mao Zedong, when he was the premier of China, he told, I want twice the population of China. Population can be an advantage. Population, if you are giving subsidy, they are disadvantage. So the same bridge, the same port, same kind of structure. When we are taking 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, the small country like Switzerland and Iceland, why they are constructing within 2 years and 3 years? They don't have people.
Hmm.
They don't have people to work. We have many people to work, and we are taking years, decades to complete a flyover. So we are unable to use
Hmm.
our human resources effectively. The startup is one thing. Any kind of
Hmm.
startup from manufacturing to agriculture to production to IT or ITS or fintech, you should
Hmm.
groom the people properly. So nowadays
Hmm.
the corporates they don't have that kind of appetite to groom the people. They say that the student who are coming out from the college or university, they should start working from the day one. It's not possible
Hmm.
because they were the student. Now when they become manager or deputy manager, they need to know the culture of the organization. They know the structure of the work. Even just see the civil servants, they are groomed for 2 years to become the bureaucrat. Even the bankers in
Right.
nowadays, you are groomed for 2 years to become a banker. Nowadays, how can somebody become a banker within days? It's impossible. The startups, when they are starting the business, they should have patience to survive at least 1 to 2 years. They cannot make profit within first year or second year. Just see, our Ola is still making loss. Baiju is making huge
Hmm.
loss, almost like 5,000, 6,000 crores. They have a business model, but why they are making loss? So loss and profit is a part of the business, and the startups they should have patience. So 2047, I am not thinking it's a very long period, and we don't have
Yeah.
patience to wait for so much period. We can create best for
Hmm.
2047 to be a developed country, but we have to focus now how we can achieve that target in 2047.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Hope
sir. Yeah.
I am clear, Sitam. Any subsequent questions on the startups?
No, sir,
Anything,
not now.
Srivas? Anything you have within just 1 minute, if you can.
Yes. So,
Hmm.
good morning, sir. My
Good
question
morning.
was, spending on health and education is often seen as a long-term investment in nation building. Could you shed light on the government's allocation for these sectors? And is the current expenditure sufficient? And if not, what are the reasons behind it?
Okay. In the health, actually, government should not spend money. Government should make it efficient. Whatever infrastructure government has created in the block headquarters, panchayat headquarters, district headquarters, state headquarters, there are hospitals. If you see, there are good. You just see. if I can say you capital hospital, the capital hospital has a space to treat many more patients more efficiently. But how many middle class, upper middle class people go to the capital hospital? Why they are not going? Government has not made it very efficient hospital. This is a this is a hospital only for the poor who cannot afford a private hospital. Given the opportunity, why I should not go to the capital hospital? Because the hospital, if you see the hygienic condition, the quality of staff, the quality of middlemen, and the quality of parking, there is no scope to go there. Even there in Bhubaneswar city itself, there are at least 15 to 20 other government hospitals, but there are hardly any doctors, neither there are nurses, neither there are pharmacists, neither there are pharmacy shops inside the hospital. There are no basic amenities in the hospital. So that's the great problem in the government hospital. Government hospitals are there, but they should. So government and school and colleges, like because 30, 40 years before, there were hardly any private colleges or private schools in the country. There is now mushroom growth of private schools and private colleges because of the government colleges and schools are not efficient and they are not imparting the kind of education they were supposed to impart. One issue here is I can tell you about Odisha. Odisha has more law colleges than the teachers training college or the lecturers training college. We produce more
Yeah.
of lawyers than the teachers. If you go to the
Hmm.
schools, there are hardly any teachers. And whatever teachers are there, they are mostly doing MIS. How much potato to be purchased, how much rice to be purchased, how much rice is consumed, how to feed the kids in the school. They are spending
Yeah.
all their time in doing the MIS of this midday meal, which is not at all required, I can tell you. When the father is producing one or two child, he has enough money to give at least a midday meal to the children. So there is no midday meal, there are also people coming. So now the education system, if you see, we have enough money in the education system to create better kind of education in the country. But we are unable to make sufficient infrastructure for schools and colleges, including the teachers. So one thing, the education department should be more streamlined and it should be with the help of the retired people or the good people to guide the recent education system. They are not calling the retired professors, vice chancellors, and teachers to guide the teachers. They are only taking the help of the bureaucrats and politicians, who have no knowledge about the teaching. And they should be all retired teachers should be in the management of schools and colleges.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
That's what my take on this education and healthcare.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, so just winding up the session. Uh, so last thing, sir, do you think, sir, any expectation that are unmet or anything more you expected from this budget, sir? Your personal take on this.
Actually, they should reduce the defense expenditure and increase the infrastructure expenditure.
Okay.
Because if you see the infrastructure expenditure, which is around 11%, which is much below the our competitor China. Because just
Yeah.
see, China is growing because of they have the efficient infrastructure. Just see, when their trains are
Hmm.
running at 500 kilometers per hour, we are touching only 60 kilometers. The
Right.
kind of bridges and sky roads they created, kind of bridges, ports, seaports, airports they have created, we are no match. We have to create infrastructure so that farmers can sell his produce in a proper market, proper way, proper price. And the manufacturers, MSME, they can sell their produce
Hmm.
in a proper market at a proper price and the proper place. And we should export our things more efficiently. Just see the state
Hmm.
of Orissa, who has more than 400 to 480 kilometers of coastline, they don't have a container port. How the manufacturer
Hmm.
they will export their produce? There are only bulk cargoes available for exporting iron ore, importing coal, exporting coal kind of thing. Because for you
Hmm.
see, Odisha is controlling the business of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh areas. They depend upon
Hmm.
Odisha because they don't have a coastline. They are landlocked countries, but we don't have container port. We have to depend upon either Vizag or Haldia port. So
Hmm. Hmm.
infrastructure is the key. Infrastructure is a key Urban
Hmm.
transport is also for urban development. Urban transport is very key. And the solar and electric vehicles, we are doing very
Hmm.
little research on electric vehicles. That's why people are not going forward for buying electric vehicles, because the
Hmm.
electric vehicles, the battery is very costly, because they are depending upon the lithium ion battery, which is very costly. We have to do
Hmm.
more research to manufacture aluminum ion battery, which will be much cheaper. But R&D, we are unable to spend money on this sector.
Yeah, aluminum we have, yeah,
We
like
have enough. We
or
have plenty of aluminum
enough.
in our country,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
there is no research people are doing. And now
Yeah.
some people have started that aluminum ion battery will be much cheaper and it will be
Hmm.
as efficient as lithium ion battery.
Right, sir. So you are saying this infrastructure that whatever we are allocating, we should allocate more and more. Yeah,
We should
rightly said,
slowly
sir. Hmm.
we should slowly reduce the subsidy and increase the investment on infrastructure. We should slowly reduce the defense expenditure and create good
Hmm.
relationship with our neighbors and increase the
Hmm.
infrastructure, because we are
Right,
unable to
sir.
create good neighbors. All our
Yeah,
neighbors
China
are
was
fighting.
also in our stage. It used to spend like 4 to 5%. I was seeing data. China in our growth stage, it was used to spend 4 to 5% of its GDP for the infrastructure. We are still spending like 3.3%, 3.4% of our GDP for the
They have
infrastructure.
already created infrastructure. They have
Yeah.
already created infrastructure.
Hmm. Yeah. So this is very nice discussion, and thank you, sir, for give us so much views and so much knowledge on the budget. Yeah, it was very like eye-opening and everything. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Siddhan. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Srivas. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank
Let us hope we should get a good 2024-25 budget.
you.
Focus
Right, sir.
on various sectors people want.
Yes, sir.
yes.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.